What is up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. And we've got a couple of awesome people with us today. And we're going to get into some really, really cool stuff. We've got Gene Volpe here, the evil bald ninja himself. We're going to get his perspective on marketing and tech and social media and all that good stuff that he brings to the show each and every Friday, which you all know about that. And then we have a special guest dropping in, parachuting into the show out of Louisville, Kentucky. Scott Hack is with us today. Scott is producing an event called Real Estate Distilled that I think you guys will want to hear about. And we're also going to talk about just what's right and what's wrong with real estate events in general that we've seen, and some of the good ones that we've noticed, some of the things that we don't like that we'd like to see changed. And I know Scott is doing his part by actually throwing an event to help change some of those things. And we're also going to talk about what it takes to do 40 deals a year and how many calls it takes to get a deal and all kinds of fun stuff. So let's dive in. Greg McDaniel, the junior grandmaster himself, in the co-pilot, the new co-pilot seat. You're in a different box from now on. Greg, what's up today?
I am in a different box, Johnson, and this is my permanent box. This is my living box, unlike a cat box. This is a living box. This is my my condo. You guys are going to be seeing me come live from my house on a consistent basis because we're with EXP, bitches, and I don't have an office anymore. So, you know what, I'm actually really excited about it. We're going to talk about working from home, and I'm being productive because Scott works from home as well, and I was really hesitant about working from home. Like the first day I looked at my computer from my commute from my kitchen to my desk, and I'm like, the fuck am I going to do with all this, like 30 extra minutes? I usually drive in and listen to like a podcast. Sat down, started making calls at 8:30, got 2 amazing follow-ups. They said, call me in 2 months, we're going to be selling. And I'm like, this is awesome. I can do this. So, yeah, you guys, you know what, EXP is, you know, our new brokerage. Matt and I are forming a national team. If you want to join our national team, please PM me or just go to bookmcdaniel.com and you book a 30-minute call with me, and we'll talk about kind of how that looks. We are national. We're predominantly going to be in California, but we are going to be national because we have been talking with so many of you guys, and a lot of you guys want to work with us, and we want to work with you back, and we have finally made the shift. But, Matt, can I make fun of myself first?
Oh, please do. I don't know if I want you to beat me to the punch, but yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. So Matt and I did some recording right before this show, and I was doing about 4 different things in my office, my dining room, and I looked down, and my phone lights up, and I thought it was a text message from Matt sending me a Zoom link, and I'm like, fuck, Johnson, how am I supposed to get on with the text message when you wanted me to do it with my good mic for this audio recording? Get on my computer? Nope. Matt had sent it on a Facebook message, and I'm like,
so Greg, let me clarify. You literally sent me a message that said, can you send it on Facebook? And it was a Facebook message that you sent me. So anyway, yeah, that's how we started our day. All right, let's bring in our special guest. We've got a bunch of stuff to jump into. First of all, Scott Hack. Scott, what's up today?
Not a whole lot. How's everybody there?
We are
amazing.
Awesome. Scott, let people know just kind of where you're at, little 30 seconds on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so as you said, Scott Hack. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Kentucky Derby and lots of bourbon. And I own a independent brokerage here called Finish Line Realty. And it's myself and 4 agents. And I sort of run it like a team. And as you mentioned, I'm also producing with my wife and putting together a real estate conference here.
Very, very awesome. So we've got a lot of stuff to dive into on that, and we're going to talk about being productive from home because you, not only is it, owning your own brokerage, it's a virtual brokerage, so you and all the agents work from home, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into kind of the systems that you run for yourself and the things that you encourage your agents to do, and there's a lot of cool stuff we'll dive into on that. And Gene Volpe, the evil bald ninja himself. Gene, you work from home too, don't you?
Not today, my man.
Where are you? You look like you're in a very nice older hotel.
Here, let's see what sort of. I'm not in a hotel. I'm in like a 7-bedroom house. And I think
this is where you're shooting your latest rap video?
Not almost. Yeah, but look, I don't know if you see
wow,
that.
There's an actual stuffed tiger.
See that
tiger?
tiger? Awesome. Dude, it's like 6 feet long. So I'm in New Orleans. That's where I'm at.
So what are you doing down there?
So have you ever heard, I'm Italian, right? So have you ever heard of the term agita? Do you know what agita is?
No.
Agita is when it's almost like when you get the pain in here from drinking all the beer and all the wine. You get that you need Pepto-Bismol for it. That's called agita, right?
Okay.
You know what that is? You've had it.
Oh,
Well,
it's
yeah,
called
but no,
heartburn.
in the Italian world, when it's gravy and things along those lines, it's called agita. So I'm down here gathering agita. So Bloody Marys at 8:40 in the morning doesn't go
Oh.
well with my system. We're eating fried food like it's like I'm going to the chair tomorrow. So that's what I'm doing down there. That's what's happening.
Like I'm going to the
All
chair tomorrow. So are you down there with a bunch of buddies? You down there with the fam?
So my wife's cousin's 30th birthday. So there's 11 of us.
Oh my
Holy
God.
cow.
You guys are gonna
Yeah, it's
tear it up.
crazy. We came yesterday, so I don't know if you know this, but on my side of the country, we got almost a foot of snow yesterday. So we had to fly out of Philly, and we didn't know if we were going to make it. They canceled like 350 flights, and somehow our flight still got off the ground, so we made it.
Ooh, lucky man.
God,
Very
I
lucky.
And
oh,
especially when you're
you
flying
son
out.
of a bitch.
Ah,
Oh, my kitchen's
No.
right there.
no.
Right
Go
there.
get it. Listen, I didn't stop you. It's
right.
early where you are, though.
Yeah, I'm
Scott,
getting one.
Scott,
We're
this would have
doing
been the perfect episode. You're in Kentucky. It's the home of bourbon. I should have had a little scotch with me. We missed our opportunity.
Did.
Bourbon and Scotch are vastly different.
Uh-oh, we're going to learn that.
Oh, come on. Are we gonna have a fight about that? All right. I should have had.
It's not a fight. It's not a fight. It's not a fight. Just making you aware.
All right. I'm a Scotch guy, but I will enjoy a bourbon from time to time.
There it is. My man.
Yeah.
Nathaniel stepped his game up. I love it.
All right, guys. So, Gene, what's been on
Yes.
your mind as far as social media and tech? Anything you have for us today?
Yeah, so real quick, and then I am gonna just get back to Bourbon Street. So I'm gonna lay it out for you guys, and then I'm gonna run. But I I didn't see you guys at the end of last year, and I just want to make sure I'm public in stating that I am very grateful for the last year and REU Uncensored or RE Uncensored. I love you guys. I hope you have the greatest 2018. I didn't get that out of the way at the end of 2018. I want to make sure you know that. Okay. So
Deal.
that's clear. So now that that's clear, I want to talk to you real quick about this app called Anchor. I don't know if
Okay.
you've heard this. This is kind of neat. Have you heard of this, Matt?
Yep, I have.
So in these days of marketing, it's very important that you have content. And one of the ways that you can have content is by creating something like this, which is a podcast. And a podcast typically, without the video, is just strictly audio. What Anchor allows you to do, and I don't have my phone with me, but you basically turn the app on and start talking into your phone. It converts it to a podcast, and then we'll actually push that podcast out to like iTunes, Google Play, and a bunch of different spots. And you can invite people. So I can set it up, send the message to Greg. Greg can click the link, get on his phone, just like he's talking to me on the phone, and it records the podcast for us.
Nice.
Very interesting.
That's awesome.
So here's why I say that. This is why I say that. You guys are podcast experts, right? This is another couple levels. For somebody who's been thinking about it, like a real estate agent, it's great to get content out. What's it going to be for down the road? Well, it's for you to have stuff that hopefully people start listening to. But there's no more excuses anymore. It's sort of like doing video. It's like, I don't know, but not pick up your phone and do your video. Same thing here. If you want to do a podcast, invite your insurance agent on for 15 minutes, have a conversation with them. It records it. You have a podcast that you can push out on your social media. It's just another easy thing to do. Then where you may take it to what Matt and Greg are doing now down the road if it works. But why not give it a shot? It's just easy, free, all that good stuff.
That's right. And
You know
it
what?
gives you a very quick and easy way to see if your audience is receptive to it. Do they want that content or not? Or what?
Absolutely.
Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, right. Good. That's a good point, right?
Yeah.
You know, something I was thinking about how to use this thing. I mean, you could go the traditional route when it comes to interviewing your insurance broker or something like that. But I mean, I was on with my coach from Viral Read this morning, and we were coming up with new creative ideas on what to do, like do new different videos. And so if you honestly feel like you have a face for radio, we still disagree with you. But here's an idea for you. You could do, go do videos about local businesses, but do recorded audio stuff, like create a collection of audios. You know, the dress store, the restaurant, the local mayor, the city planner, these people around town, and create this audio city of content. And once you get comfortable with it and you build a rapport, you can go back and do video with Facebook Lives and everything else. But you can get comfortable interviewing people. I'm good when I'm good, and I'm always good.
What was that?
I see humility reigns in 2018 as much as
That's
it did in
right.
2017.
Oh, my
That's
God.
good.
Oh my God! All right, that is awesome, Gene. We appreciate it. I know I've got One of my friends is experimenting a little bit with Anchor, so it's definitely something worth checking out. So, and Wyatt has a great comment here. Like, we need motivational thoughts provided by Greg on Anchor. That would be. Given that I just recorded with Greg some motivational audio and it was laced with profanity, just beware.
If you know me, you know what comes with it, man. It's baked into the pudding.
All right,
It's
Gene,
called
thank
the
you so much.
NSW podcast.
No.
NSFW podcast. Scott, good luck with these guys.
We'll let you get back to Bourbon Street, Gene. Thank you so much.
You
Yeah.
lucky
See you,
bastard.
boys.
Gene.
Thanks.
Right.
Have a
Later,
good day
buddy.
for me.
I'll drink a couple for you. Don't worry about it.
All right, Scott. So let's turn to you a little bit, and let's talk about the whole kind of virtual agent thing and virtual brokerage, especially because you've started your own. We just switched over to EXP, so either way you slice it, it's all about like you as the agent or the broker working from home, and then can you make your agents at least as productive or close to it or hopefully more productive at home than they would be if they rolled into your office and you could slap them in the face if they showed up late, which I think is what a lot of old school brokers would like to be able to do. They want people to show up to the office so that they can see them, and they think that they're creating a culture. Most of the time they're creating a horrible one, but they'd like to think that they're creating some culture, by providing a physical space for people to go. So Scott, what's been your experience? And I'm curious kind of how long you've been virtual.
So I've been virtual since I launched the brokerage 7 years ago, and I launched the brokerage, and for the first 2 or 3 years, it was just me and another agent who left my previous brokerage, and we kind of founded the company together. And that's how I ran things for a while. And I honestly didn't add any agents in the beginning because I was still figuring out all those things you were talking about. I had anxiety about how I was going to be able to handle paperwork, how I was going to do escrow checks, how I was going to cut commission checks, how I was going to handle those logistics and do oversight on contracts, that sort of thing. So it took me a while, and it was really just my own internal anxiety. It wasn't difficult once I made the decision to bring on agents and do it. I use a online service to handle our contracts. That way we use paperless pipeline, so I can do check the documents and make sure that everything's been signed and initialed the way it was supposed to be done, and everything was set up, and agents stop by and pick up checks here at the house. And I have a dedicated space in my home. So I built a new house last year, and we built the house with a room specifically as my office. So I have a dedicated space that I can go to or leave if I'm working or not working. So those were the big things. And then we use Slack internally.
Yep.
So, and there's an app for your phone as well as your desktop. So I have Slack running on both devices. I type a whole lot faster on my computer. I do a lot of messaging on there and communication with agents. It helps, keep everybody on the same page and just have a little bit of connectivity throughout the day. If I think of something, I don't want to let it go by. I just drop it in Slack real quick and send out that message. So
nice. Very cool. So getting back, like there was something we were talking about before we actually hopped on and went live, but you've kind of built a little bit of a unique schedule for yourself that wouldn't be possible outside of the fact that you do work from home and you have the office built right into the house there. So tell us a little bit about what your kind of daily productivity looks like.
Yeah, so I start my day probably a little bit later than a lot of people do because I do have 2 young children. So my morning starts off at about 8 and get the kids to school and drop them off around 10 till 9. And I'm actually in my office about 9:10 or so when I get back. So it's probably a little later than a lot of people do. And then I do a normal work day. And then about 5 o'clock, go and grab the kids from preschool and get everybody home. We do dinner, put them down, and then I'm able to go back into the office and work for another hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what my workload looks like and how much I got accomplished off my list, which would not be available if I needed to go and commute 25 minutes into an office. So by the time it would take me to commute and get home, I've got most of the bulk of that work done already.
Yep.
So
that's one of the things that we were talking about off air is the fact that a couple of days ago when we made it totally official that we're with EXP. And my kitchen's right here, and I got my breakfast, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, now what? I have 30 minutes extra in my life. What do I do? And like I said earlier in the show, guys, I plopped my butt down. I got back to work at 8:30. Felt a little awkward making the calls, but I'll tell you one thing, Scott's 100% right. My first 2 calls were just grand slam knock out of the park, successes, people thanking me for following up, thank you for calling, call me back in 2 months kind of a thing. And I'm like, I wonder if I've been starting too late doing the calls. I wonder if I can start early doing the calls because I don't have to go anywhere. And like last night I was doing my shows and I didn't have to hurry up and get out the door because of the commute. It was absolutely fantastic. I could barrel roll, as Matt would say, or shoulder roll into my kitchen for a quick snack and shoulder roll right back over here to keep working, or go out and go for a walk if if you hit the time lottery, as Hank always says. Go out for a walk, go hit the gym, go for a swim, go sit in the spa for 10, 20 minutes, relax, treat yourself a little bit more. That's what I like about this. I got to the idea, and Scott help them understand this mindset, because Matt works
quality of life.
Quality of life. It is so cool. Like, you can come and wear whatever you want. Then you can go get changed in your bedroom a couple of feet away.
Yep.
And then go out. Then come back and change. And then come back in here and sit and not be uncomfortable in your work clothes. It's a different mentality.
The other thing is I'm sure when you had your traditional office, you were going to the office and then you were coming home and you were still occasionally working from home.
Mm-hmm.
But the setup you had at home wasn't nearly as nice as what you were doing at the office. It wasn't the same workflow, so it wasn't nearly as efficient.
Yep.
So now that you have one workspace that's home that you're working out of, you can always have that same efficiency when you're working at home, or whether or not it's during the day, because that's still your main space.
Yeah.
When you came home, it was almost like you were traveling when you were trying to work.
It was, because, I have my main computer that we're shooting from again here, and it's so nice to have all my programs there. And you're so right. It's the way of putting it. It's like you were traveling. Because I'd get my laptop out and, fuck, this isn't here. And just, damn it, this isn't here. And, screw it, I'll wait till I get in the morning. And then your productivity goes down a little bit. And I love the fact that I can just plop down and have everything here. Everything is here. But I think it's a shift, a mindset shift for people that are going to have to go through. A lot of agents are very resistant to it. That's one of the biggest pushbacks with, agents when I talk to them about EXP. Then I explain to them like what we're talking about, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, I get it. That's so awesome." What if you're married and your husband and your wife comes home early from a trip, or from work, or they're sick and you want to take care of them, and you couldn't do that if you had to travel to an office. Now you can be here with them, getting sick with them. That's just love.
Yeah, but snow days, you don't have to worry about the weather, the traffic, delayed schedules. There's, like you were talking about, there's no traffic in the mornings or in the afternoons. You can schedule your appointments still the same. It's just, where your starting point's from. So as long as you live in a convenient area, you're going to be better off with everything. And it's been very freeing. I always worked from home, even when I was with a traditional brokerage. I basically went to the office twice a week to do trainings and to drop off paperwork, and it got annoying to have to go and drive into the office for those few things. So when I decided that this is what we were going to do, we kind of just launched things and went after it that direction.
So Howard makes a really good point here. He's like, well, I'm concerned about missing the interaction with my colleagues in the office. Totally get it. Here's how you fix it. They have EXP has a virtual office, virtual campus. You can go up there, you create your little avatar. Yeah, I thought it sounded stupid too, but until you do it, you don't get it. Like, I'll just cruise around in my little avatar and I'll see other people and be like, hey, what's up? And you get to meet people all over the country, from U.S. to Canada at this point. You get to make new relationships, new referral partners, new friends. You can go get trained at any time. So if you're missing the interaction with your coworkers, go on tour. We have it on Thursdays. Go on tour and go out there for the full 3 or 4 hours and really kind of go see all the houses and shake hands and kiss babies and be a politician. It's just go do that then, but be more productive in your workspace. Because I would get up and go get coffee. I would go talk to Eileen. I would have people pop in. I would make an excuse to go walk around the office. Dude, I just sit the fuck down and do my job now. And I'm way more productive than I was last year at this point. So
with Slack, I just jump on a video call with the other agent, and we can do screen share. I can walk them through any issues they're having. Facebook Messenger. We do a weekly phone call still to make sure everybody's on the same page, and we do actually get together once a month and do an in-person training. Nice. So I still maintain a once a month, so we still have some FaceTime once a month at least. But ideally, they're still coming to see me, dropping off commission checks, so I can cut the and good faith checks. So there's still interaction there. It's just easier to do when you cut down on the unnecessary trips.
Yeah, cutting the fat off of the time you waste, which is. I mean, have you ever looked at people in traffic? They are not happy creatures. They're being made to be there because a boss that reigns on high of their livelihood says, "Be here at this time or else." You don't have a boss, guys. I mean, that's the cool part about it. And next time you're in traffic, today, tomorrow, whatever, just look at the guy or gal next to you. Just see if they're smiling. 99% of the time, they're not going to be smiling unless they got a smoking hot chick next to them. Then they'll just be grinning from ear to ear like, hey, check it out.
Or they're listening to Real Estate Uncensored on their
Yes.
podcast. That's right. Yes. All right. So we got a bunch of people watching, including Michael Higdon, who actually is in Louisville. So I want to make sure, Scott, that we get a chance for you to let people know kind of how to find out more about the event. And then I want to get into that conversation a little bit. So tell me about Real Estate Distilled for a second.
So Real Estate Distilled is, you can go to realestatedistilled.com first of all to get the full schedule, grab a ticket. It's next Thursday and Friday. So it's January 11th and 12th. And we've got 15 speakers speaking over 2 days. 11 of them are from 11 different states. So people are flying in town to share their expertise from the stage. Real Estate Distilled was born because I couldn't find a conference that I thought was doing a good job of having people that are working in the day-to-day trenches sharing their information. Most of the conferences I attend, it was vendor heavy, and vendors were selling a service. And it was a veiled, pitch from the stage about how they could help you be their magic pill for everything. And it was annoying to pay money to go get pitched. So I really worked hard to find speakers that are actually in the trenches every day, doing business, sharing what's working well for them. And also, it's a price point that is very entry level and affordable. It's only $250 for a ticket.
Wow.
So I mean, we're not a coaching company. We're not a vendor. We're not trying to put any money in our pocket. We're just trying to, make the conference better for everyone who's attending. So, with the location, we are playing on the distilled and spirits theme, but we are also doing a bourbon tasting at our reception the first night. So there's a new distillery in town, and they're coming. The distiller, they're coming in town, and we're going to have 3 of their bourbons that we're going to do a tasting on the first night. And I'm really excited. So it's something we do plan on doing in future years. So even if they can't come this year, go on the website, grab the Facebook page. It's Real Estate Distilled everywhere. So check that out and join up.
Awesome.
And I'm sure my invite is lost in the mail.
Invite,
those damn U.S. postal people.
I sent smoke signals. I sent smoke signals directly west, and they just didn't get there, I guess.
What? That's because Napa burned. They got caught up in the Napa fire. Damn it, Napa.
No, but I specifically tried to also grab independent brokers as our speakers. So we do have a pretty good concentration of independents that are available. There's not an R4 or a family reunion for an independent to join, and this is kind of a different event from Inman, where we're located at. We're not in the south, but we're not in the north. So we do have sweet tea. So
that is good. That is good stuff.
UPS has the World Hub here for a reason. We don't have a whole lot of weather events, as I cross my fingers and don't jinx myself.
Yeah, there's a knock on wood for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Louisville is within 9-hour drive of, I would say, 2/3 of the population of the States. It's the same reason why the music industry is based out of Nashville. It's for touring.
Yeah. So we're really accessible. Hotels here are very affordable. It's only $120 a night for the Hilton that we're at. So it's a nice city to visit. And there's also some tourist things to do. So, throw the family in the car and come visit. So.
That's awesome. Wyatt is watching right now. He says he loves bourbon. Wyatt, go buy a ticket, homie.
Yeah.
You can get some bourbon ticket. You can get some bourbon tasting. You get some education, bud. That is a good deal.
The bourbon tourism is really driving our downtown. There's been something like 6 distilleries in the past 2 years that have opened or that are about to open in the next 6 months. And we already had a decent concentration throughout the state. There's also something called the Urban Bourbon Tour. And all the restaurants, so there's like 40 different restaurants that you can go, and you can get a punch and a stamp at all the different restaurants and try a different drink at all the restaurants. So it's definitely.
If you drink too much bourbon, you're definitely going to get a punch.
Are you a good drunk or are you a bad drunk?
I'm fun as hell.
So are you a good drunk or are you a bad drunk?
Good. Mm-hmm. It's always a party.
That's right.
I don't like fighting when I'm drunk. It's too much, too much
Greg's not
effort.
he's not an angry drunk. That's good.
No.
Yeah. So this is the passport that has basically has all the restaurants in it and their addresses and.
Nice.
So
Matt, I see a trip in our future.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
No, we're really excited about the conference. Like I said, this is our inaugural year, and we're laying a good base. And we've got, like I said, I handpicked all the speakers and recruited as many independents as I could. And they're sharing information. We're really trying to stay true to the name on the other side. And the speakers are asked to, distill information down, make it very actionable. These aren't 10,000-foot view discussions, so this isn't something that's like, a concept. This is actually, if you want to do this, do step A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and this is how you can implement this idea in your business.
So Scott, this is very much like the old Star Power with Howard Britton. Are you aware of him or the old Star Power?
I just know the name. It was a little before me, so.
So Howard Britton was our personal coach for a number of years, and Terry, the Grandmaster. They actually started at the same company together at the same time, so we've known him forever. And what you're describing right now is almost exactly on par with them, because I'm assuming you're going to have breakouts, but the main stage and everything else, almost exactly like Howard. It was people actually in the business. You couldn't be a vendor, you couldn't be any of this. Vendors could be outside, but you're not speaking. And it was like, hey, this is what I am using. It is in a PDF Word doc form. Go make it your own kind of a concept. I've always wanted to get and do that, but I think you're beating me to the punch, and I'm so happy that you are. This type of knowledge is kind of how this show runs. It's people that are in the business that are actually doing what they're talking about, not talking from the throne room. Yeah, and I think that's what people want. Because of Facebook Live, people are not being held back from knowledge. YouTube opened up an entire universe of information that used to be behind the pay door. And I believe that what you're doing, and I think you're really doing a good thing, man. And I would love to attend next year. I mean, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're really excited, and it's something that we're hoping that, obviously it's going to build. I actually, and it might sound counterintuitive, but I actually don't want it to ever be more than like 300 people. I don't want it to. If it gets that bigger than that, then we don't have the opportunities to network and actually spend time and actually learn from everybody that's there. But that's our goal, is to build something between 250 and 300 people eventually. So.
Matt, we're going to squeeze in at 298 and 299. There.
That's right. Well, even if we have to parachute in. But yeah, there's something to that, Scott, because you say it's counterintuitive, and it is, because most people that start anything, they assume that it has to grow infinitely in order to be healthy, right? And I think when something's healthy, there'll be a demand to grow. That doesn't mean you have to let it grow, and there is something to that, because you can see it in everything from music concerts to church services, right? When it gets too big, you lose that personal aspect. And I don't know what the magic number is. There's people that have made a case for 150. I think it's a little bit bigger than that, maybe 250, like you said, Scott. And that range is a good range where you can get in a room with people, and you don't feel like you just get lost in the crowd. And so I think it's really good to kind of keep it at that level, even if you end up throwing, let's say, multiple events, or you do a West Coast and an East Coast, to do something like that rather than saying, I want to build the biggest event in real estate.
Absolutely.
The biggest events you have to pay big money for. I mean, this is when you bring big value, and that concept has lost its way in our industry, unfortunately. But Matt, I want to anything else, because I honestly want to hear about the organic lead generation.
I know. I wanted to jump into that real quick, but yeah, I mean, for guys, go to realestatedistilled.com, support Scott's cause there in terms of let's be part of the new generation of real estate that brings a new type of event, and brings the best of, Greg, what you've seen with Star Power. and let's revamp it. Let's do something for a new generation. Greg, you and I are working on a series of events that are going to be wildly different from anything that's out there, but continuing on the spirit and flair of Star Power. And Scott, you're doing your own version of that. So that's why I wanted to bring Scott on, was just to be supportive of his mission, because I feel like we're kind of a little bit on the same mission in some of those things that we're doing. Because Scott, you hit the nail on the head. Nobody wants to just show up and pay money for a pitch fest. And unfortunately, there's been some events that we've all been to that turned into that, whether they were coaches from the stage, whether they were software vendors, like whatever it was, they all ended up being veiled pitches, and that's not the kind of events that we want to throw. We want people to get excited and then leave and have something that they can implement. So I love what you talked about, like distilling the messages down so that there's actual takeaways and that they can go and implement in their business when they leave. So yeah, we're very much on the same page.
Matt, you talk about veiled.
Well, we've been to some where they were not veiled at all. It was one pitch after another.
They were like a NASCAR driver. They had patches with who was sponsoring them on the stage. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I came here to learn. I don't want your product. I don't want your product. Fuck you, I'm out. I'm going home. I'm taking my ball with me, damn it.
There's a great Robin Williams joke about how our congressmen should wear patches of what corporations they're sponsored by. I love that bit. All right, Scott, so let's talk about the organic leads, because your brokerage, you said it basically runs entirely off of online lead generation, but whereas most teams are built on, Google AdWords and Facebook ads, and they're really throwing, $5-10 grand a month at it, you're getting these organically. So how did you build that?
A lot of work. So I got into the business almost 10 years ago to start with. It's nine years ago, and I had no money, and we were getting ready. It was like 2008, so it was right after things were starting to kind of head downhill in my market. So we were a little bit delayed on when the economy was turning. So I had no money and a lot of time, and I just started investing it in building my website and working really hard on generating content. And at that time, I was building some links, and it's not the way you would do it today. But I kind of got my foot in the door and started down that process, and I invest a lot of time. Those evenings I was talking about where I go back into the office, some of those nights are built, doing new content on my website, generating new pages, going after and analyzing my analytics and looking at what keywords are bringing traffic to my site, what keyword is maybe I'm sitting at number 15. And if I was able to do a little bit more work and bring that to page 1, would that bring in some additional traffic? Is that the low-hanging fruit that I should go after to bring in some more leads in the door? Also, a little bit more counterintuitively, I don't do forced select registration on my websites anymore. I stopped about a year ago. Part of that is because of the size of my team. So, and also the accountability of you all were talking about, and like forcing people to be in here and practicing their scripts and making X number of dials a day. So I didn't have a really good training program to put in place to have people make a certain number of dials and make those contacts. So I got away from doing it, and now we mostly have information requests. I want more info about this listing, or I want you to go show me this listing requests, and those are the ones that we concentrate on. So I've basically set up my system to self-qualify the higher quality leads by not forcing a lot into the funnel.
So you make them self-qualify. Can you go a little bit deeper on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the consumer's experience if they're not because we're familiar with, hey, go to this site, you look at like 3 pictures, and bam, you get the pop-up, and now you have to register. So I think everybody gets that. What's their experience like, and how do they even get into your funnel if there's no forced registration?
So as you said, someone goes to the site, they look at some pictures, or they look at a number of listings, and then they're hit with a registration box. And what happens when those registration boxes come up is 93% of the people leave your site completely as soon as the box comes up. So you're only capturing somewhere between 6 to 7% of the traffic into a registration if your site is optimized and it has trust built up. The other people are just leaving immediately as soon as the registration box comes up.
Wow.
So what I'm doing is when people are clicking around, that registration box never shows up. So I'm probably only bringing in 0.5% of my total traffic, or even less, into a registration. But those are the ones that have spent more time on my site. They have more impressions on my brand. The way my site's set up, it has branding of my pretty face right next to the listings. So they have an idea of who I am. And then when they actually do a request, it's because they've actually looked through 15 or 20 listings instead of 2, and then hit with the registration box and got turned off and left. So they've spent more time looking at inventory. They're more serious about that particular listing that they're inquiring and asking more information about, and they're also, or that they want to go see. Additionally, when we make our first nurture call and actually reach out to them, we have something very substantial to talk to them about. When we're doing our pre-qualification, it's about a house. Yeah, it's about a specific house, and it's not a goose chase on, what's your timeline. We can talk very specifically about that house. When are you, when do you want to go see it? Have you talked to a lender? Let's get you pre-qualified so we can go see that. And all that information. We have a price range based on what they're looking for. Like, let's make sure that this is actually something that's reasonable. Let's get your information over to a lender and going that direction. So.
Okay, so this is really interesting, and I really like the idea of putting fewer people into the funnel, because we know, and we talked about it a little bit. We probably talk about it more on the team building podcast with Jeff Cohn, because he has all the numbers, like tracking across his team of, I think now it's up to 50 agents. And we know the numbers are ridiculous. I mean, it's, converting internet leads at 3% is good, but part of the reason for that is we're trying to capture as many as we can. So I want to talk about that trade-off, because essentially you've chosen to trade off having a lot of leads, having more leads, and then having to do more sifting and more essentially prospecting your own leads just to figure out what's good and what's not. So you've traded off that in favor of a lot fewer leads, but hopefully better leads. But how do you know whether one is really better than the other, and why did you make that trade-off?
So statistically, if you were to look, like you said, you probably can make more money if you follow a dedicated system of forcing registration and forcing people into the funnel.
Okay.
If you make all the dials, if you do all the nurtures, you statistically probably would make more money. You need a larger workforce. You have just to handle the number of leads, the number of dials that have to happen. So you're going to have more oversight. You might have to have additional admins, things like that.
Yeah.
If once you get into doing a non-forced registration, the other side of it is you are going to see, I think, and this is a little bit of a theory, but I'm starting to see it happen, my rankings are increasing. And my rankings are increasing because the customer experience is better.
Right.
So when people are landing on my site and they're not leaving immediately, that means that my bounce rate is not nearly as bad. So that's a signal in the ranking factors. It's all about the experience. I know when I hit a website and I'm interested in a product and they don't have the pricing anywhere on the website and they make me fill out a form to get the information, it drives me absolutely insane. Yeah. All I want to know is what something costs, or I want a little bit of information. And if it's hidden behind a registration form where I have to give my contact information, or even if they require a phone number, I mean, like I said, I've got kids. I'm working at night. I want the information on my terms, and I don't want it to be spoon-fed to me the way that the company wants to do it. So this empowers the consumer. It's honestly what Zillow did. It put all the information out there so people could see it. And that's kind of the direction that I took my site this past 12 months.
You know what? I was actually on a site yesterday. And no, not that kind of site, you weirdos. I was on a site.
Well, you weren't thinking it until you said it, Greg. Thanks.
I know, but I had to.
I have that horrible image in my head.
So, in all honesty, I was on a site for content for real estate, and she was like, well, so she and I were throwing around ideas of where to get content for different things. And I'm not going to say the name of the site just because I like them and everything else. But she's like, well, I get it for free. I'm like, that's a paid site. She's like, no, it's not. And so I'm like, boom. I'm like, oh, there it is. I went to their blog. I'm scrolling down, clicked on one, bam, sign up. And I was like, I just clicked the X. I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. I can get my content somewhere else. It really did bother me, Scott.
Yeah, it's an experience. It's an experience issue.
Yeah, that's why I brag about a couple of sites for content, like realtytimes.com. I won't shut up about that group because they give so much value and content that agents can use to talk about things in their neighborhoods to consumers on things that the consumer's interested on, but other people try to make you pay for the same thing. I think what you're doing is hands down the right way, because the sellers and buyers they're gonna have that experience with you.
So one of the things that becomes a little bit tricky is for our business, we've been so focused on the KPI of how many leads we have coming into the top of the funnel.
Yep.
And like, I don't have leads, I don't have leads, I don't have leads. And as soon as you're able to let go of that issue, then you can start concentrating on what really matters is the commission check in the bank. And, working with the fewer leads and, having the time to make those nurtures. That's the other side of it. If you're putting 100 people into your funnel, where I'm probably putting 5, then you've got to make 100 dials to disqualify 85% of 85 of those. And you might end up still with 15. So you are going to have still a larger database after you kick out the ones that just signed up because you forced them to. And going through that process, where does that time come from? The time comes from when you should be showing property, or you should be working on your sphere of influence, which we all know has a higher return on our time and money. So it's about taking and making your internet lead generation a pillar of your business, but not the sole focus and sole time-sucking part of your business.
So I want to really clarify something here. When you guys get an online, air quotes, lead, don't be the retard that actually thinks it's a lead. It is a respondent, not a lead. It's like a dating site. When a hot chick gets hit on, she's getting hit on by all the dudes, and she's probably responding more than one. So you're not the special guy, all right? You're not the it. Just like that, when it comes to this stuff, guys, that's why you have to respond within 5 minutes or less, because you have to get in front of them to roadblock them from going somewhere else. You have got, like you were saying, Scott, you have to nurture. That's the gold in this whole thing. Lead generation, it should be a respondent generation. It's your job at that point to then make yourself a human and bring the value to them so that they want to work with you. That's where that big twist is. A lot of people don't get that part. And I think that, Scott, I know you get it. That's why you want to work with 5 people versus 100 people. It's easier to build that relationship.
It's easier to build a relationship. And the number of leads, I don't know, which study I read recently, but excuse me, the number of leads has been increasing, year over year in a staggering number, but the number of transactions that are done hasn't increased. So people are registering on, 7 or 8 sites.
Yeah,
that's my point.
Only going to go, it can't go up forever, but the trend doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. And we've got a great question. Mike Holbrook is watching and just wants to know, what is your site, Scott, so we can go check it out.
It's LouisvilleRealEstate.com.
Wow, that's an awesome site.
That is a nice URL.
Yeah. So that was purchased aftermarket. It was an investment that I made when I launched my brokerage. So, and again, since I'm focused online, it was an easy investment for me to make.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
very,
it
very
really
cool.
is. So with the organic online lead generation, are you going to scale that at all? I mean, do you want to build up like a reservoir of leads for your agents, or you just want to keep them on tap for what they have to work with that day? A good friend of the show, Jeff Combe, gives his agents 30 people per 30 agents, 30 leads per person. Fuck, can't talk all damn day. So do you dole out in that quantity, or do you do more quality?
No, I don't dole out in that quantity. I do probably 5 to 6 leads per agent per month.
That's plenty.
The agents themselves are also doing their own lead generation. In the platform I'm using, we also have squeeze pages that we can post on Facebook that use basically a lead Facebook registration. So it's easy for mobile users to click. And so we do post our listings on there, and we do generate some additional leads that direction. But again, those are lower quality leads. But those leads are usually, again, specific about a listing. So it's another way for us to start the conversation and put people into our database for a long-term nurture with a newsletter or more of a general touch for branding. But it's not necessarily business we're relying on today or even the next 6 months.
Are you using video? Are you using live video at all to generate organic leads, people to respond back to Bob, who's on your team, because they know Bob? I mean, is that a play you guys are using, or is it just the squeeze pages and the funnels that you built?
We're not using video yet. I have a acquaintance in the Colorado market that I saw a couple of his intro videos he does of his agents, and they blew me away on how much trust I felt after I watched the video, and how I realized that if I were to do something similar to that, how well it would do. But no, we're not doing it right now, and I don't use a service like BombBomb yet either. But I do think that they're on 2018's calendar. I just don't know what day we're going to pull the trigger. It's just becoming more and more. You have to stand out, like we were talking about, and I think it's so easy to do. We're doing a lot more direct mail too, like thank you notes.
Take a look at Viral Marketing. Have you worked with them yet?
No, I've not worked with them.
That's where I met Matt 3 or 4 years ago. He was my original coach. And they do, and that's why I was with my coach earlier today, coming up with an action plan. The money that you pay them, you will stand out like a shining star amongst everybody else. They do a really good job, and again, guys, we don't get paid by them. It's just a product that I use and I like. And send out cards is something that I'm really getting into as well. So those are 2 great systems.
And Scott, quick question for you, and then we've got maybe a couple questions that we can finish out from the Facebook group. But Scott, I'm curious, just with it sounds like the very top, other than Sphere, the top of the funnel for you is buyers interested in specific listings. How does that affect kind of the mix of seller to buyer clients that you work with? Have you been buyer heavy in the past, and then it kind of took a while to straighten that out, or have you always generated buyer leads by being listing heavy and marketing your listings, and then the buyers just kind of come in off the website?
I would say that we still are buyer heavy, but at the same time, excuse me. But at the same time, every single buyer that's on our site we treat as a seller. So I don't know, maybe 20-25% of the buys that we've done, they also had something they had to sell on the other side. So we treat every single buyer that comes through the website as if they're a seller, and we inquire about picking up that listing. I would tell my agents, if you don't get the listing, you're not going to get the buy side. So, we concentrate and treat every single buyer as if they're a listing. And there's a fair number of people that are doing, that are registering, they're looking at houses because they don't know where they're going to go. They're not ready to put their house on the market until they find something that they know exists. And they're out there searching, and we show them something, and then they're either decide that they're ready to put their house on the market because they know what they want exists, or that might actually be the one, and they're ready to write a contingency and then put their house on the market. So
that's a good. That's a really good way of treating someone. You're not treating them as just, all right, you're a dumb buyer. Buyers are liars. Get in the car. I'll be a door monkey. I'll open your door. Okay, I'll half-ass the contract. Okay, and then I'm gonna forget about you. You go straight for the value of treating them like a human, and then building that trust and getting both the deals and the referrals. I don't think a lot of people think of looking at buyer leads as sellers, and I love that. I love that mental mindset that you have, and I think that is why you're so successful.
Especially the price point. You have to look at the price point too. I mean, in my market, our average MLS sale is about $170,000.
Whoa,
it's really low. But anyone who's buying something in my market that's over $225,000 is probably a move-up buyer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anytime someone's inquiring about something on that, they probably have something that they need to sell before they can make a purchase, unless they're already sold and they're living in an apartment waiting for something to pop open. So.
I hope you guys are hearing what he's saying. I mean, this is some really powerful mindset stuff and how to really view people in a different way and how to read a lead or respondent, read a respondent, and say, okay, you're looking at this price point, knowing our marketplace, this probably have this in tow, and moving forward from there. Because if they have a great listing agent that's already selling their house, they're probably going to be working with them anyways, and probably are getting leads or homes fed to them from that agent, so they're probably not going to be on your site. I mean, there are some of them, but not a huge majority of them. Interesting stuff.
The other thing I have is I have multiple sites. They all feed into my one back end, and one of my websites actually concentrates strictly on condos and lofts in my market.
Mm-hmm.
And the condos and loft website is usually a first-time home buyer. So we go into that with that mindset, knowing that they're probably a first-time home buyer and they need additional education about the process. So that's how we treat those people initially. So I know when someone's looking at a condo that they've probably not owning something else, that's probably an entry into home ownership, and we're able to go that direction with them. So
Good stuff. Damn, this is a good podcast.
This is a very good one. All right, well, let's finish out with a couple of things, and then I want to there's a really interesting question that I want to finish the actual show with that we'll get to in a second. But, Scott, how do people remind people where to go for the event, how to connect with you, and all that good stuff, and then I'll tell people how to connect with me and Greg.
Yeah, so the event website is realestatedistilled.com, and you can also go to facebook.com/realestatedistilled. Go there, and then if you want to connect with me personally, you can email me at scott@louisvillerealestate.com or facebook.com/scotthack. So,
we'll put some links in here for you guys as well. You guys that are listening to this on iTunes, you're fucked. The rest of you can read them in the notes here.
That's right. Man. Well, it sounds like a good incentive for people to watch on Facebook Live because now, Greg, we are on live 3 days a week at the same time.
So we are, Johnson.
With a couple of exceptions here over the next couple of weeks that we still need to clean up, but we have moved the show officially 3 days a week till 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, so you guys can watch us the same time every day that we're live at the same time. So, and then for us, obviously you've got booking a call with Greg, bookmcdaniel.com. You can do the same thing with me. 15.bookjohnson.com. You can book a 15-minute call with me. But, Greg, why should people talk to you?
I'm awesome.
Besides that.
All joking aside, there's the link for Book McDaniel there, guys. The reason why I want you guys to book a call with me, if you guys are at a brokerage where you feel that you're stagnant or their technology is not on par, if you guys want to grow a team under you so that you can have residual income, if you want to have 100% income after a very low split of $16,000, guys, and you get to work with me, Matt, you get to work with all of our fellow coaches that are coming on board with us. And there's a whole huge list of other things Matt and I are putting together later today, which we will then have a landing page for you in the near future so you guys can go read all of this stuff. Guys, this is what we've been building. This is our big play. This is where we want to hang out with you guys. We want to help you build your future. I personally will make calls to help agents come onto your team so that you guys can have a team and an income besides just selling real estate. But let's be honest, guys. We're as good as our last deal. We don't have a listing. We don't have a buyer. We are effectively out of business. No money. And what if a catastrophic event takes place in your life? You get sick, your wife gets sick, your husband gets sick, you get in an accident, your child needs an emergency surgery, something happens where you are incapacitated. Reoccurring revenue is not a bad thing. And, all you're doing is selling real estate. You just come over and get to hang out with me and Matt and a bunch of other really, really, really cool guys and gals over at EXP. So if you guys want to book a time, go to Book McDaniel. I'll lay it on the line for you. If you don't want it, I don't care. I still love you. If you want to join us, great. I still love you. It's just an opportunity that I want to put out there, and we will put it out there for the rest of time. So if I don't get you this time, I'll get you next time. But in all honesty, guys, that's the team. But we have there's another opportunity here. Hank Avix and I, the great Hank, the Hank the Tank, the man in yellow or orange. Sorry, Hank. He and I are doing a 36 to Life coaching event. Starts on January 10th, guys. It's $197. Use the code McDaniel, Greg 100, and you knock $100 off. Guys, this is a 4-week course for $200. It's $50 a course or $50 a week, and it's with me and Hank. We're going to teach you how to use your sphere of influence effectively, not have to pay for any lead generation. These numbers are going to be very important to you. 50, 20, 5, 1. We will explain what those numbers mean and how you use them on a daily basis and how you can create a life around real estate doing 3 deals a month. You can do more, 36 a year, and you can increase your price point as you go up in years and actually get some time with the husband and wife you actually want to spend some time with. So click the link.
That's right.
Unlike
Assuming
Julie,
you like your spouse.
Unlike your wife, Julie, Matt.
That's right.
Which
right.
She's not actually married.
Exactly. Let's finish out with this. So this is from the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections group. Derek Blankenship asks, thank you for your time. When practicing scripts in a group setting, do you read all the way through a script with a member and then have them respond with objections? Do you let them interrupt while you're giving the script so you don't, just to kind of break your thought patterns? Or do they let you get all the way through the script and just provide support without criticizing? So I'm curious, Scott, for you, when you work with your agents on scripting and just when you've done scripting and role play with yourself, what have you found works best? Do you want somebody to kind of interrupt you and like break things, or do you want them to let you get through it and then give you feedback afterwards?
Typically what we do is we go through the script completely before we do an interruption, unless the person I'm doing role play with is being a dick and tries to do like 18 objections.
Okay.
But I mean, if we're doing like 2 objections and then if I go for contact information or trying to set up an additional nurture or something like that, we'll just go completely through the first ones and then go and do critique and then start over with someone else going that direction.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Greg, what do you
Nice.
think?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, for me, the other Greg on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
You dipshit.
Like you seem caught off guard that I asked for your opinion.
I did. I'm like, what, me? Me? Okay. What I generally do, I will ask the participant who I'm running the script with, how do you want me to run it with you? Do you want me to run it and then stop you when you're messing up, or do you want to go all the way through, or whatever else? And generally, what they say is they like, hey, if I'm messing up, man, just tell me, because okay. So I'll work it in segments, and so they do their intro. No, go back. Do it again. Do it like this. Go like this. Okay, now we got the intro down. Next segment. We work them in chunks so that then when they get done, it's a fluid, good run, and they feel really good about it. And we do small verbiage, small tonality, shifts and change so they don't sound like a robot. Hello, Mr. Johnson. My name is Gregory McDaniel, calling you from ABC. I have a deal of a lifetime today for you, sir. Click.
Yeah.
So we take that away.
Yeah, I like that, Greg, because I think what's important is, and this applies to really any type of skill development, so you can see it in a lot of different areas, but scripts being one of them, is like you have to have a chance to know what is the ideal that you're shooting for before you start like interrupting. So yeah, you have to be able to know kind of what the script is, at least get through it and know kind of what you're going for, and then start going back. And I like the idea of breaking into chunks, because then you can interrupt, but you're not interrupting just to be a dick or to make them feel like they don't have it yet. You're interrupting with the specific objective of, hey, let's go over that, because you did it the wrong way. We don't want to reinforce that by letting you get a bunch more repetitions under your belt of doing it the wrong way, because it's going to ingrain that in you. So now that you know what the ideal is, now let's take it chunk by chunk, and let's get you as many repetitions doing it the right way as we can, and then you move on to the next section. So I think that's I definitely agree with both of your guys' approaches, and yeah, it's all about getting the maximum number of repetitions of the right way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Absolutely. And so, yeah, there it is.
Very cool.
Don't do it the wrong way anymore. Ted by Matt.
That's right. That's right. Quote, stop doing it the wrong way, Matt Johnson, 2018. All right, guys. Let's put a nice little ribbon on this one. Scott, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're excited for you and the event at realestatedistilled.com.
Yeah.
We're excited. Hopefully we'll be able to get to come out and be a part of that next year in 2019. So, guys, for now, if you're watching this live, go. You still have time to register. I think registration actually closes today. If you're listening to this and it's in the future, just make sure connect and link up with Scott and support him in the event that he's building, and make sure that you stay on the list so you find out when it goes down next year, or anything that Scott decides to do later in 2018, since we're kind of all on the same mission to help agents with timely, actionable content. So, Greg, anything else you want to throw out there?
You know what, Scott? I think you're really doing some good stuff, man. I'm really honored and pleased that you took the time to be on the show with us, and I know that the people that are listening to this are going to get some massive value out of it. So thank you profusely for doing that. You guys, as you well know, Matt and I truly have a love affair, and I say this every show because we really mean it. We have an absolute love affair with every one of you, because you guys are the people that are trying to change your lives. You are the guys that are like me, they're in the trenches, and we're making a living selling real estate. And Matt and I wanted to bring this show to you so that you guys could take the information that's been stored up in my noodle from my dad, the Grand Master, who's been doing it for 47 fucking years. And if you guys ever get to meet this man, if you guys ever get to meet him, Matt met him, he's like this one big huggable teddy bear that can talk you into, a lady with white gloves into buying to buying ketchup. It's unbelievable, but you love him for it. And he's taught me how to do that, and he taught me a lot of creative mindsets, and that's why Matt and I want to bring this to you guys without having to pay for it. So thank you. We love you.
Really appreciate the opportunity to come on and share the information about Distilled and share with you all some of the things I'm doing in my business. So thank you all for the opportunity.
It is our pleasure. And Matt, you know what?
So.
Peace out, ninjas. We gone.